Republican Senator Tim Scott announcing he'll head to Iowa later this month in a trip that is driving talk of a potential 2024 presidential run. There have been some members of the GOP party pushing him to run and encouraging him to run for president. The upcoming visit is part of a listening tour, which will include an event in his home state of South Carolina. Senator Scott plans to actually do that following the announcement that former South Carolina governor and UN ambassador Nikki Haley has said that she will formally announce a run for president on February 15th. And Julia Manchester, national political reporter for The Hill, joining us right now. Scott and Haley are pretty well acquainted with each other. In fact, Nikki Haley appointed him, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Adrienne. And I think this goes to show that all eyes are on South Carolina lately in the 2024 lead up. You know, last week we saw President Trump make his really first major campaign stop in South Carolina at the State House. Then, of course, a few days ago, former ambassador and former South Carolina governor Nikki Haley basically announced that she's going to essentially get into the race later this month. And then, of course, we hear speculation about Tim Scott heading to South Carolina. South Carolina is an interesting state, Adrienne, because we know that in a Republican primary and a Democratic primary, it's an early state. And we know that it definitely has a lot of sway in the direction of how the primary goes. President Trump did quite well there in 2016. So it's a must-go state for any Republican. However, Scott and Haley are interesting in that, you know, a lot of their supporters say they represent a future of the Republican Party. Nikki Haley is a woman of color. Tim Scott is a man of color. So it's definitely an area in terms of garnering people of color and getting more of a diverse party that the Republican Party has really tried to improve on. And we could see that with Nikki Haley and Tim Scott.
Well, and they're both very respected among their colleagues, their peers, and in their communities. It might be interesting to see two people from South Kakalaki actually running for president alongside, or rather the candidacy, the nomination with former President Trump. But let's talk about what the former president has been talking about lately. Following her announcement that she will officially run, we know that the president had spoken to reporters saying that he encouraged her, that if it was in her heart, that she should go ahead and do that. But then he posted a video of some kind, appearing to maybe just kind of make sure that she remembered what she said about not running. Was that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think we can expect to see that from former President Trump, whether it's Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis, assuming he gets in. President Trump is going to be going on the offense. He's going to be wanting to very much try to put these potential challengers in a corner to try to get them not to run. Look, he wants to very much solidify his post as leader of the Republican Party, which, you know, so many Republicans say he still is. However, he's pushing back against a lot of these younger Republican candidates, very much trying to remind them that, you know, he very much played a role in some of their political ascensions. Not just Nikki Haley with appointing her to be U.S. ambassador to the United States, but Ron DeSantis, for example. He very much played a role in, you know, endorsing Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis has pulled quite a bit out of Trump's playbook. So we can absolutely see President Trump start to get the attack mode ready, but it seems like it's mild what he's doing to Nikki Haley. Look at what he's been saying about Ron DeSantis. It's a crazy primary season already.
Yeah, I really think that it's been said that Nikki Haley and former President Trump, that there was a mentor-mentee relationship there. She's pushed back, though, on some of the things he said, saying it's time for new leadership. He has said that, you know, she might have told me that I was wrong, but then 15 minutes later said that I was right. So they have a very interesting dynamic, and so do he and Governor Ron DeSantis. Julia Manchester, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.